when most people hear the word erotic, they immediately go towards sex and porn and seduction and just being desirable or being sexy for someone else. And the erotic is so much more than that. This is our life force energy. This is the current that lives inside of us that fuels our creativity. So when we are fully tuned into this is where we get to create, we get to direct it towards anything that makes us want to expand ourselves. So, welcome to Embodi Your Wild. I'm your host, Carolyn LaFortune, and I'm an embodiment guide. I'm a mother of two. I'm a studio owner of Embodi Pole in Ottawa, and I'm here to have real conversations about how to tap into your wildness or erotic power, into your aliveness. Let's fucking go. This is going to be a really juicy episode, so listen in because we're about to get real into our erotic energy. Erotic comes from the Greek word eros, which is the son of Aphrodite. He's the ancient Greek god of love, desire, and sexual passion. This is the spark behind your voice, your pleasure, your boundaries, your power, your money, your creativity, your art, your movement, your sensuality, and the way that you take up space in this world. This is the part of you that knows what you want before your mind starts talking you out of it. This is the part of you that is your full body fuck yes. When we are tuned into this current inside of us, we are lit up, we are turned on, and this is not just sexually. This goes way beyond just the sexual, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But when we have this flame burning inside of us, because everybody has this, and for a lot of women, this flame has been buried very, very deeply inside of our bodies. And so reconnecting to that is very powerful. It's a reclamation. This is why we feel so disconnected and numb and resentful, and why we're craving something, but we don't even know what we're craving. And I believe that this craving is our erotic energy trying to get our attention. It's like, hey, I'm still here. Look at me. And this is the full body connection to your root, to your pussy, your heart, your voice, and your mind. When everything's aligned, we are connected to our erotic energy. And now here's where I feel like there's the difference between the erotic energy and the sexual energy. So the erotic energy is that current running through your entire body. This is your life force for creation. And our sexual energy is just one part of that. Sexual energy might include arousal, the exchange, attraction, chemistry, intimacy, but erotic energy is the deeper current that is in our bodies. The sexual energy can often move horizontally, while the erotic energy remains fully mine. So I am in my own body, I am turned on, I'm feeling lit up. And this is where we feel our most alive. This is where the erotic can sometimes be reduced to just that performative, that external validation, that chasing, that feeling for somebody else's consumption. So what we are doing here is we are reclaiming that part of us and really tapping into this power source, this life force energy that we have inside of our body, so that when we can actually feel into that, it doesn't matter if there's anyone else in the room. This is actually how we're feeling, how we're tapped into our body and into our pleasure. And this is where we're feeling that difference between living in our heads versus living in our body. Because a lot of times we are living from the neck up because the part of ourselves, the lower half, is completely disconnected. And this can be due to stress, to trauma, to just past experiences, to just a bunch of tension that we're holding on to, things that we tend to do, or overgiving, and just even that internalized misogyny can also show up in this disconnection. And so when we start to reconnect to our entire body, so this is to our womb, to our pussy, and when we're tapping into those parts of ourselves not for somebody else's pleasure, but just for us. This is where we are actually tapping into our full body expansion. This is when we can start to feel safe in our bodies to explore these other parts of ourselves. This is when we can start to dive into really like what do I desire? What do I want my life to be? What do I want to do in, let's say, 5 to 10 years from now? What are my goals? What are my dreams? And how can I actually get there and experience this to create the life that I want? And it's also tapping into our boundaries, really noticing what is your full body fuck yes and your full body fuck no. Because when we start to feel into that whole connection, into all of our centers throughout our whole body, then we can actually decipher, okay, if I make a decision, I can feel my entire body contract or I can feel my entire body expand. And those are the signals that tell us that this is what's happening. This is the direction I want to go or the direction I don't want to go. I want to give you a small exercise right now to connect to these parts of yourselves. So get into a comfortable position. This, you could be lying down, sitting, standing, whatever feels good for you and that you can feel like you can relax without holding on to something. Closing down the eyes, place a hand on your heart and another hand on your belly. And now start to bring in some breath. Bringing your awareness to your breath. And now send your breath down to your pelvis. Visualize sending it there and feel into the points of contact with the floor or the chair. Feel yourself grounding and descending into your body. And now feeling this connection to your womb. And even if you don't have a physical womb, the energetic center is still there. And descending even more into your pussy. Noticing that full body breath. So as we're coming in with the inhale, feel like there's the movement lifting up with the breath. And then as we exhale, circling back down. And now, can you start to connect to the lower parts of you? Just saying hi. And maybe we're starting to feel some physical sensations. And now imagine there's a pilot light inside of you. So the pilot light is that little light in your furnace that's always on. So in the wintertime, when we want heat in our house, this pilot light gets fed tended to. So it's like a fire. Like a fireplace. And as we're connecting to this part of us that may have been suppressed for so long, this light is still there. It's always been there. This is where we're bringing in the wood to feed this fireplace, to feed this light, to feed our eros, our erotic energy. Feel this connection inside of your body, connecting through your entire body. Building the current, feeling the flow. And notice the sensations that you're feeling. Is there warmth? Is there tension? Is there numbness? You can feel into this physically or emotionally, even energetically. Just notice what's there. And the more often you can do this practice, the easier it'll get to connect to your erotic energy, to connect to yourself. Now coming back into the space, opening up the eyes when ready. Just notice how your body's feeling right now. Erotic energy comes in cycles. This is not you just riding high all the time and being super orgasmic all the time. No, this comes and goes. It ebbs and flows. We get to also tap into our full spectrum of emotions, from anger to fear to joy to sadness and grief. We can start to bring in the erotic into all of these aspects of our lives. So it doesn't just show up in the joy, in the pleasure, but it's also showing up into all of these other places. And so when we don't tend to this energy, this is where it leaks and it spills. It turns into resentment. It turns into shame and chasing, external validation, and it's very shadowy. This is how we learn to hold it inside of our bodies. Because erotic energy needs containment. And now let's talk about boundaries, because this is a very important one. Boundaries are not about putting up walls, but it's about what feels right for us in our entire body. Boundaries show up in your emotions, in your thoughts, in your actions, in your physical space, and in your energy. And a lot of women know where they want to draw this line. Actually holding that line is a lot more challenging. And without having that strong internal safety support, it's easy for boundaries to get shaky and to feel unstable. And so the real boundaries come from who you are and who you desire to be. So we are putting these not just to protect the negative energy from coming in, but also how does it feel to nourish ourselves throughout. And so I like to think of a boundary as when I tell my kids no, like don't open the door to go outside. They're not going to listen to me. I have to repeat myself, 5, 6 times, and they're still not listening. And the actual boundary is not me saying, no, don't go outside. The boundary is me going to get them and maybe locking the door, or going to get them and physically stopping them from going outside. And so a lot of people think that, oh, I set my boundary. I just told you what I wanted or what I didn't want. And that's not how it works, because boundaries are not there to control other people. So if this happens, what am I going to do? How can I control myself in this situation? And how can I enforce my own boundaries in different situations that I don't necessarily want to be part of? You are still protecting your own energy while still allowing connection, freedom, and expression of your erotic. And boundaries create identity. This is really easy to get lost in our identity if we don't really have a clear direction of what we want to say yes to or what we just want to say no to. And the more we can start to nourish ourselves, the more we can start to tap into our erotic energy, this is where we create a stronger sense of identity as well, because we're recognizing what we're willing to consent to and what we're not. And even a lack of boundaries is a boundary within itself. So boundaries can be healthy where they're rooted in love, in creating clarity, in nourishing ourselves, in empowerment and integrity. Unhealthy boundaries are rooted in wounds and fear, creating exhaustion and just makes us feel drained, and also amplifying qualities that we don't want to have. And no boundaries just leaves us feeling directionless, worthless, and going with the flow of other people and taking on their own projections as our own. When our boundaries are missing or unclear, it's easy to get into codependency with somebody else and to really fall into that trap of, okay, tell me what to do. You are taking charge of my life. Subconsciously, we're not doing this because we actually want to. This is just how sometimes it tends to go. So knowing where you stand and where you feel grounded helps us to stay connected to our own identity. So your boundaries are really knowing your full yes and your full no. It's noticing where you override yourself. So for me, this shows up sometimes when I've already crossed this boundary. And so this is where I've said yes to something and later on reflected on it. It was like, oh, actually, that was a no for me. Oftentimes, we don't know we've crossed our own boundaries until we've actually crossed them. And this is also feeling into where your body contracts. So if you're a fuck no, your body's gonna tell you. And it's listening to these signs of this contraction instead of trying to people please or trying to fawn. And also your energetic boundaries. Who gets access to your time, to your attention, to your body and your emotions and your creative energy? So noticing if we can put up an energetic boundary if we're going somewhere that we know we might get easily activated. So this could be a family setting when you're going for a big family dinner or something, when you're like, okay, let's bubble up and put on these energetic boundaries to not let this penetrate through and affect my mood. And it's also not letting anybody feed from your flame. Not letting that energy vampire coming in and sucking you dry. This is where, again, we are putting this in place of having that energetic boundary where we are feeling into this because we want to not just protect it, but we want it to nourish us. Boundaries are not the opposite of our erotic energy. This is what needs to be put in place to protect it and to help feed it and keep it sustained. Erotic energy can be felt while we're just putting on music and dancing up a storm in the kitchen, where we're cooking up a nice meal and eating that delicious meal in joy and in pleasure, and really feeling into all of the sensations, tapping into all of our senses and really enjoying the food. This can be making money from your gifts. For me, this is lighting up for me at the studio. I birthed the studio. This is me tapping into my erotic energy, having this vision that I am following and I'm creating. It's also feeling your hips move or spending time in nature, going for a walk and really just being fully present in the moment, just feeling into that aliveness, that connection to nature, and creating art, creating movements with your body, just fully enlivening ourselves and feeling turned on by your own life. When we talk about pleasure, a lot of times we feel like we need to earn it, like we don't deserve it, we need to work for it, and then we'll feel happy or then we'll feel joy. But we all deserve pleasure. This is our birthright. We have the ability to be in our bodies, to enjoy just living in the moment and just enjoying all the little pleasures that life gives us. We also have a body part that is specifically only for pleasure. It has over 10,000 nerve endings, and this is the clitoris inside of our bodies. This part of us is made entirely for our own pleasure. When we are diving into our pleasure, this isn't about, again, feeling into that full body ecstasy all the time, because that's not real. You're not going to be in pleasure anymore because everything needs to have the contrast effect, or else it just neutralizes. So when we are feeling into our pleasure, this also gives us more ability to tap into our pain and to feel into our pain and to be able to experience it not necessarily as painful. Our pain receptors and our pleasure receptors are the same in our brain, and they're just two sensations. They're two sides of the same experience asking us to feel. So when we're numb, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, our tolerance for pain is often lower, and that's because our system is not used to engaging with sensation. This also dampens our capacity for pleasure. So if we limit how much pain we actually feel, we're also limiting the other side and not feeling as much pleasure. It's flattening the range of our experiences. And so this is where life can start to feel just dull, dark, gloomy, and muted, where we're not really feeling into that richness, into that aliveness. When we lean into sensation, this is when we start to wake up both sides of the spectrum of pain and pleasure. We are reclaiming the full spectrum of sensation, and we're stepping into a more vibrant way of experiencing our life. By expanding our tolerance, we can shift our perception of discomfort, creating room for both deeper pleasure and resilience in feeling pain. Embracing pain and pleasure on the same spectrum allows us to experience life differently and to live more fully. And simple ways to connect to our pleasure is just going outside in nature, feeling the sun on your skin, smelling some flowers around you, going for a nice meal, even drinking your favorite cup of tea or coffee and taking it in slowly. So instead of rushing through all of the experiences and life, this is where we get to slow down. We get to start to feel and to recognize, what is it that I love from this experience? Is it the taste? Is it the sensation? What is it? And so when we tap into our pleasure, we use our erotic energy as power. This is where we get to create. We're not just making a vision board and manifesting whatever's on that vision board. This is where we're actually starting to feel into our bodies. It's aligning with your desires and getting the courage to go for it. And let's talk about erotic wealth. So when I speak of this, this is not just about money. This is us feeling into, what does wealth feel like for us? Is this having access to pleasure, having access to time, to energy, to creativity, beauty, connection, nourishment, all of the above? It's us feeling resourced. It's, do I have the capacity to actually take on this project? Do I have the capacity to deal with these people right now? Do I have the capacity to open a new business? Whatever it is. And so this isn't just about money. It's also, when I'm not connected to my erotic energy, is this when I undercharge for things? Is this when I self-sabotage? Is this where I don't really feel into my own worthiness? This all comes back to sovereignty and feeling fucking powerful. I remember that my desires matter. I am worthy. I am enough. My energy is valuable and I am allowed to receive, especially when you're just becoming a mother. This is going to shift and to flow and to move and transition into different things. When we are feeling into our own cycle, ovulation, I'm feeling my most erotic, but menstruation, I am just like, nope, nuh-uh. Actually, it's more my luteal phase, like deep luteal. I'm like, nope, I need to just be wrapped up in a blanket and like just feeling more of that contraction. And during any life transition or any big stressor, big things like that, this isn't gonna always feel like sunshine and rainbows. It's gonna feel hard sometimes and it's gonna try to pull you away from the sensation. Like life is just lifing. Life keeps moving on, and especially the way that the world is right now, the society just wants us to work, 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 always having that hustle. And finding time and finding those moments to reconnect to our bodies is important right now. And especially with all of the shit that's going on inside of this world right now, this is the time where we need it most. We need to be connecting to ourselves even more now than we had to before because of all of this other shit that is coming down onto us. Sometimes this pilot light is just a candle. Other times it's a bonfire. And other times it's a fucking forest fire. So this is where we get to contain it. We get to keep it, to hold it, and really feel this connection into our bodies. For a long time, when I first heard of the concept of erotic energy, I was really trying to understand it. I found this super fascinating and I was like, oh, this is like our life force energy. What does that actually mean? What is this? All this spiritual woo-woo talk about all of this. But the more that I do this work, the more that I'm all in. I'm 100% drinking that Kool-Aid because this is where our power lies. For a long time, I was chasing that feeling and I was trying to understand what it meant for me in my body. And it took some time for me to actually, I was teaching this concept. I was trying to understand. The more I taught it, the more I spent time with myself, the more it just clicked. And it's always been there. This energy has always been there with me. Now it was just putting words to it. Because when we feel lit up, nothing's going to stop us from doing what we want to do, even fear. Because fear is there as a protection mechanism. But the more we can actually just move through the fear and do it anyways, this is what this erotic energy is. This is when we know that we're connected to our bodies, because even though we feel fear, it's like the risk versus reward. The reward is much larger than the risk is. And that I can guarantee you. And you guys, I'm so freaking excited for our upcoming Embodi Your Wild women's retreat. I've been planning this retreat since last year, and it was originally supposed to be in June, but we've moved it to October. This is going to be way spicier, way witchier, and deeper than what I had originally imagined. This is the space where your body comes fully alive. This is where you will be fully taken care of throughout the whole weekend. You'll be nourished by a private chef. You will have some different workshops throughout the weekend. There's going to be lots of time to rest and really feel into your body. We're also tapping into some shadow work, some somatic practices, and we're closing the weekend off with a sensual nature photo shoot with a professional photographer. So you're going to get top shelf pictures of yourself in the wild, fully feeling alive and magnetic and radiant inside of your own body. So join us in La Minerve, Quebec on October 23rd to 25th. There are 2 women that have said yes, and we have 6 spots left as I'm recording this episode. So check this out. I'll link the details in the show notes. And thank you so much for listening, and own your erotic energy. If you felt even just a little glimmer inside of your body, subscribe and send this episode to a woman you know that needs to feel this too.